Dobry den, good morning. Thank you for having me and thank you for such a wonderful introduction. I have never been introduced like this before. I'm glad that the politicians have gone so we can start working. It's a joke, of course. It's very important to have this support, and I think this seminar is about diagnosing where we are also with the support. How far we have gone with promoting inclusive education through drama. This is what I specialize in, and I would like to share some of the research I've done within my last projects. If I can have the slide, I'd like to start with this joke that you probably have seen somewhere in the internet. Because our project is about redefining the success in education. This is what we mean by inclusion. So here we have this testing and exam-oriented education where we basically have standards for everybody, and we insist on having these standards. So the test is to climb the tree, and as we see, some of the species have no problem and the monkey is happy. The elephant may be confused, but the poor fish. Next slide. Next slide, please. So it is about that fish that is a genius. But if we test the fish by how perfect it is in climbing trees, the fish doesn't look very happy. So our project, Join In and Make a Change, has this aim of supporting diverse stakeholders of inclusive education with expertise on how truly engage learners at risk and sharing the best teaching practice. So the activities of our project start with analysis of the state of the arts in the participating countries. So this symposium, this seminar is for our project to find out also from you about your needs for support. So it's not only us telling something, it's us to listen to you as well. So according to 2018 World Bank report on education, being at school as opposed to active learning from the global perspective contributes to the social exclusion and becomes a trap for many young people. Recent learning assessments show that many students around the world, including European Union, especially from poor families, are leaving school unequipped with even the most rudimental skills they need for life. At the same time, internationally comparable learning assessments show that skills in many middle-income countries lag far behind what those countries aspire to. And increased access to educational institutions or even reducing the dropout level is not enough for any vulnerable groups to raise their self-esteem, further opportunities for earning proper living. And the learning crisis persists because many stakeholders of education have little understanding and not enough information on who is learning and who is not. Next slide, please. This picture is political in the context of the US, but I wanted to share it with you because it shows all these traps of exclusion, and especially schools that have little to do with learning contribute to this exclusion. So here on this picture, they literally produce prisoners. People who don't gain skills that they need in life and become excluded or become simply criminals. And the prison I want to suggest as a kind of larger metaphor. If we leave school with only knowledge that is outdated actually the moment we graduate, if only knowledge is tested, if only knowledge is certified, we produced a lot of people that will feel useless in the community. And they will be imprisoned. And by imprisonment, I mean the lack of opportunities and the lack of engagement. Next slide, please. As opposed to traditional schooling, which even according to this World Bank has less and less to do with learning and less to do with engaging in learning, we are interested in drama. And the shortest definition of drama is no penalty zone. This comes from Dorothy Heathcote. And like in football or in baseball, we have area that is restricted and that is penalized for certain behaviors. When we use drama for education, we declare that we accept every idea, we accept every approach, every way of thinking, and we do our best for our students to succeed. And we allow them to define the success on their own terms. So as I said, we are starting to talk about drama, and I'd like to engage you in something that is not drama yet. It's just a simple exercise, but I hope that we will, if you engage in this, we will have some kind of reference for what I'm going to talk about in terms of research. So I'm going to use this sheet of paper and ask you to engage in an exercise and engage with your imagination. I want you to imagine that this sheet of paper represents your body. And whatever happens to this sheet of paper, I would like you to reflect with your reaction, with your interpretation. Okay, so if I can ask you to stand up and find a little space around you. Okay. And I'm going to focus on this sheet of paper, not on you. So make sure that you are not judged and you are not performing for me. It's about your standards and it's about your experience. Enjoy. So you see, you set your standards of success yourselves, and by clapping at the end, you shared the feeling of success. Okay? Although I wonder what you imagined when I did this. You know, what was in your imagination? I always wonder. But it's in drama, there are no correct, the only correct and the wrong answers. There are creative answers. And there are your standards of success. So our project is about aligning with that vision for inclusive learning and acquiring the skills that students really need to be productive, fulfilled, involved citizens and workers, co-designers of our society. So our focus is to contribute to the resources and awareness of teachers, in particular at the early levels, to help them become more effective in facilitating learning, strengthening management of schools and educational settings, while ensuring learners are equipped for success. Next slide, please. Where do we start? We start with empathetic teachers, and we start with empathy. We start with understanding who our students are, and we have the concept of learning the child as opposed to teaching the child. I made the joke about your important politicians, but I'm really jealous because in Poland we just experienced 3 weeks of strikes of teachers and nothing happened. Nobody cared. The government didn't know how to talk and negotiate. They were not interested in negotiation. It was time of exams, so they provided priests, nuns, firemen, and foresters to monitor the exams. Because the exams can be monitored by anybody. You don't need teachers. That's what our politicians say. This is how they understand education. So we must really cherish and we must create communities of learners and supporters, because the education cannot happen without these wonderful teachers that respond to the needs, that care, that relate to who we are. And I have worked in 2 wonderful projects like this. One was called DICE, and it was a shortened version of the title Drama Improves Competences in Education. And we looked at key Lisbon competences and how drama can help build these competences. And the project gathered a lot of data. We had over 5 million cells of data for that project. And we discovered that drama impacts almost every competence, which is called generative, or the basic competence, like learning to learn, or social competence, or initiative, cultural competence. And drama was especially effective in improving social competences. That is, accepting others and finding help from others becoming a community. And first of all, stopping the hatred that often is promoted by culture. We researched, for instance, Palestinians hating Israelis. And we discovered that even after a short workshop, a few-hour workshop, their attitude drastically changed for a better. So drama is an incredible tool that is underused because we don't have enough trust and we don't have enough expertise. But those teachers who have had some experience are generally the teachers that care. And they are generally the teachers that ascribe to more progressive understanding of education. So if you heard about John Dewey, who gave us some ideas over 100 years ago, drama teachers tend to understand why the child must be in the center of learning, why child has to be in charge of its own learning, of his, her own learning. And these teachers generally align these progressive aims with methods. So it's not just about drama. It's about understanding that there must be alignment between what you want to teach, what aims you have, and the methods. And then the evaluation. Okay, and even if you know Bloom's taxonomy, from that Bloom's taxonomy, we know that we cannot test what goes beyond understanding of simple knowledge the way we test by written tests and exams. If we want to go to what we really need, that is design, creation, we have to change the methods to those who engage, who give experience and give opportunities for reflection and for getting the control of your own learning. The child is, like Polish-Jewish teacher Janusz Korczak said, 24-hour research center that is expert in her or his own learning. There are no bigger experts of learning than the child herself and himself. Next slide, please. But there is no progress in learning if you don't take risks. And you only take risks when you trust the environment, when you trust your community, when you trust the other students, and when you trust the teacher. So drama is about building that trust, that you can move on. And drama is, we know it from another project called ArtPad. And ArtPad stands for Achieving Resilience Through Play and Drama. Next slide, please. So when we learn a child and we build the trust for the child to accept challenges and work on challenges, and when we allow the child to experiment and fail, we build something that is called resilience. Next slide, please. What is resilience? Resilience is growing, developing, learning, even in the most unfavorable conditions. It's persisting in learning and developing against the bad odds. So like this plant here, in a almost barren land. If we give that attachment, trust, if we allow the child to experience problem solving, fail and learn from the failure, the child becomes immune to any failures, and the child learns from the mistakes and is in control of her or his learning. Next slide. So, what drama offers us is that suspension of disbelief, engagement with education, going beyond what is real and what is achievable now. And when we engage the child in working with fiction, with fictional characters, the child is modeled, and the child extends what is possible, includes the new strategies of solving problems into his or her repertoire. So fiction and improved relationships in drama become valuable inspirations and vicarious experiences, changing children's self-efficacy beliefs. Teachers equipped with drama tools and awareness of its processes are also very good at interpersonal communication, since they focus on the person and use the whole spectrum of human expressions of facts, states, needs, emotions, beliefs, dreams, hopes. Drama is based on emphatic understanding and shows how to reduce fears through dialogue and safe experimentation. Drama-based experiences promote tolerance of diversity and alternative patterns of behavior resulting from specific cultural sources. Finally, drama-based activities encourage learners to analyze and share emotions, especially when they are intense or negative emotions. Reflection sessions of drama focus on causal relationships rather than blaming anybody for who they are. And narratives used in drama usually promote cooperation and decision-making processes with the focus on mutual goals. The last slide. Tomorrow, myself and Ivona Stankiewicz, the teacher from one of the schools in my city, in Gdańsk, will offer a workshop which is on a very specific technique, mantle of the expert. And next slide. This method shows that we engage most our students when they become co-designers, when they are entrusted with their expertise, and when they are not judged by mistakes they make, but they are supported with the responsibility they take to solve a problem. So I hope in a more practical way we will be able to share these ways of engaging the students, no matter what inhibitions, what fears, what disabilities they bring into the community. This method is an example of something that helps us involve everybody, not just because we want to be good to that at-risk person, but we find that person as a rich source of inspiration for the whole community. So I hope to see some of you at the workshop, and thank you so much for your engagement this time. Thank you.